Alright, here we are with video number 2 of the cell cycle. I will just read a little background here. Think about the cells you learned about in Chapter 1. Each cell contains many different structures, including a cell membrane, a nucleus, mitochondria, and ribosomes. To divide into two equal parts, the cell would need to either duplicate the structures or divide them equally between the two new cells. Both cells would then contain everything they need in order to survive and carry out their life functions. The regular sequence of growth and division that cells undergo is known as the cell cycle. You can see the details of the cell cycle and exploring the cell cycle by clicking the button at the right. Actually, I already showed that to you, and those of you who had started in class, maybe you wrote it down from the textbook. As you read about each stage, follow the events that occur as one parent cell divides to form two identical daughter cells. Oops, pause for a second. Sorry about that. I had left my online textbook open for too long, and it needed me to log back in. All right, here we go. Stage 1, interphase. The first stage of the cell cycle is called interphase. Interphase is the period before cell division occurs. Even though it is not dividing, the cell is quite active during this stage. During interphase, the cell grows to its mature size, makes a copy of its DNA, and prepares to divide into two cells. Growth. During the first part of interphase, the cell doubles in size and produces all the structures needed to carry out its functions. For example, the cell enlarges to its endoplasmic reticulum, makes new ribosomes, and produces enzymes. Both mitochondria and chloroplasts make copies of themselves during the growth stage. The cell matures to its full size and structure. DNA replication. After a cell has grown to its mature size, the next part of interphase begins. The cell makes a copy of the DNA in its nucleus in a process called replication. Recall that DNA is a nucleic acid found in the chromatin of a cell's nucleus. DNA holds all the information that the cell needs to carry out its functions. The replication of a cell's DNA is very important, since each daughter cell must have a complete set of DNA to survive. At the end of the DNA replication, the cell contains two identical sets of DNA. One set will be distributed to each daughter cell. You will learn the details of DNA replication later in this section. Prepare for division. Once the cell's DNA has replicated, preparation for cell division begins. The cell produces structures that it will use to divide during the rest of the cell cycle. At the end of interphase, the cell is ready to divide. Stage 2, mitosis. Keep in mind, mitosis has 4 parts. Once interphase is complete, the second stage of the cell cycle begins. Mitosis is the stage during which the cell's nucleus divides into two new nuclei. During mitosis, one copy of the DNA is distributed into each of the two daughter cells. Scientists divide mitosis into 4 parts, or phases: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. During prophase, the thread-like chromatin in the cell's nucleus begins to condense and coil, like fishing line wrapping around a ball. Under a microscope, the condensed chromatin looks like tiny rods. As you can see below, and I'll show you that, as you can see below, since the cell's DNA has replicated, each rod has doubled. Each is an exact copy of the other. Scientists call each double rod of condensed chromatin a chromosome. Each identical rod or strand of the chromosome is called a chromatid. The two strands are held together by a structure called a centromere. So if you look at this, you can see each half is called a chromosome. Each leg is called a chromatid, and the whole thing together is a chromosome pair, actually. Centromere looks like chewing gum here, is what holds the two together. Here's some scanning micrographs of the same thing. Notice how they look more like they're attached than separated here. Chromosomes. During mitosis, the chromosome condenses to form rod-like chromosomes. Each chromosome consists of 2 identical strands, or chromatids. Interpreting diagrams. What is the name of the structure that holds the chromatids together? Of course, that's a centromere. As the cell progresses through metaphase, anaphase, and telophase, the chromatids separate from each other and move to opposite ends of the cell. Then 2 nuclei form around the chromatids at the 2 ends of the cell. You can follow this process as in exploring the cell cycle. In other words, look at your diagram.